Albion, you can be anything you want to be, as everybody has their place in this magical world. Imagine that you are a miner. You are gathering ore in the mountains to supply your guild with precious resources. The blacksmith of your guild crafts the best weapons north of Wenden Sie, using the ore you bring him. Your guild, the Eternals, control the mountain area of the Western Outlands. Thus, they can control the market for weapons and ore, all thanks to your gathering of that precious resource. Your guild's merchants travel south to bring swords and unrefined ore to the city. Wenden Sie lies in the swamps, an area where no ore is to be found. So good quality weapons are scarce and sell well. This guild, the Ivory Raiders, is hunting animals for hide, which can be found plentiful in the steppe. This is also home to ancient animals, rarely to find in Albion. The guild then sells their precious loot in the city. Your merchants are buying valuable hide from the hunters, which they will need for armor, bags, and saddles. They then load their oxen and set out to return to their home in the mountains. The way back home is long and dangerous for your merchants when they ride through the swamps. These people call themselves shadow stalkers, outlaws lurking in the swamps. They prefer to plunder caravans traveling through rather than working and trading. The battle is short and brutal. The raiders are much better prepared. Overwhelm the few defenders you brought, plunder your caravan, and disappear into the swamp. You cannot let this happen again. The trading route from the mountains to Wenden Sie is far too important to let it be controlled by bandits. This means war. Your guild decides to drive the raiders out of their home base and take it over. If you succeed, you will control the swamp, giving your guild access to fiber. The best warriors and mages of your guild fight for the watchtowers and territories of the enemy. But a war is not only fought by warriors. Weapons break. Territories get destroyed. Warfare is a huge logistical challenge, demanding a vast amount of resources. The Shadow Stalkers fight back fiercely, but with each battle, your guild gets closer to their home territory, until a final, devastating blow ends this war. The sword that did the final strike on the enemy was made of ore that you gathered. You have found your place in Albion. Everybody matters. Albion Online is a Sandbox MMORPG in which you write your own story instead of following a laid-out path. Explore a vast open world. Everything you do has an impact on Albion's player-driven economy. Every piece of equipment is crafted by players from resources gathered by players. The equipment you wear defines who you are. Switching from knight to magician is as easy as swapping your armor and weapon, or be a combination of the two. Venture deep inside dungeons and discover wealth and danger in equal measure. Relax by retreating to your personal island, where you can build a home, grow crops, and raise animals. Grab a fishing pole and head for Albion's rivers, lakes, and oceans. Join a guild, play together, take part in massive player versus player battles, and claim your piece of the world. This is Albion Online.
In a world where everybody matters, each of us has a story to tell.
I started at the bottom. I worked hard to rise above it.
Born restless, I was a loner. When adventure called, it didn't need to ask twice.
With my own 2 hands, I forged a good life for myself.
I roamed far, from the forest to the cities. Always my heart yearned to see more.
My efforts paid off in the local market. Silver flowed like water.
There were always a few obstacles, but nothing I couldn't handle.
Some were covetous, seeking to rob me of my hard-earned coin.
I ran into those weighed down by wealth. I helped to ease their burden.
I learned my lesson. Never again would I be an easy mark.
They told tales of my skills. This drew others who shared my hobby.
A show of strength dissuaded all but the most desperate or the most foolish.
I found that I could play well with others. Alone I was strong, with companions, unstoppable.
I foresee a grand enterprise with wealth and abundance for me and my guild.
I found my place, side by side with my comrades, blades in hand.
For riches!
For glory!
Your guild calls! Let fair fortune guide your hammers!
Onward, my friends! Let's give the bards something to sing about! It's time to tell your story.
Welcome to your first day in Albion Online. Let's make sure you have everything you need to succeed in this vast, exciting, and dangerous world. As you can see, we're lacking in the armor and weapons department, but we won't be purchasing them from a vendor or receiving them through quest rewards. Every weapon and armor piece in Albion is crafted by players just like you. So let's gather some resources and assemble them ourselves. Gathering materials are divided into tiers. We'll be able to gather Tier 1 rough logs and rough stone with our bare hands. Let's go ahead and gather enough of each to craft some tools. At the nearby crafting station on the Tools tab, you'll see a list of Tier 1 beginner's tools and the materials required to craft them. Let's make one of everything, just to be safe. Remember, we'll be able to gather 1 tier higher resources with 1 tier lower tools. This will help us out when we begin to gather Tier 2 materials. Now that we have some gathering tools, let's talk about where to find resources. By opening the world map, you can see we're currently on the Royal Continent, where all players begin their journeys. The world is divided into biomes, housing resources specific to each zone. The biomes are forests, highlands, mountains, steppes, and swamps. We've started here, in the mountain biome, abundant with stone, fiber, and ore. You can see for yourself the resources an area holds by reading the key in the top right of the zone's map. Let's gather enough Tier 1 stone, logs, and hide to craft ourselves a full set of Tier 1 leather armor, as well as a Tier 1 sword and Tier 1 shield. You can craft these via the workbench, under the Armor tab and the Weapons tab. Choose an ability for your newly crafted sword and try a few moves on the nearby training dummy to get a feel for Albion's combat. Remember, you can change the abilities on your weapons and armor at any time. Now that we've ditched the loincloth and look like a real adventurer, it's time to move on to the starter city. Just follow the arrow sign on your mini-map. The starter cities for each biome house every building needed to get the ball rolling. Let's take a minute to explore. This is where Albion's freedom to choose your own destiny really shines through. We can craft some Tier 2 weapons and armor with some unique abilities at the Mage, Warrior, and Hunter lodges. To see for yourself all the skills and abilities these armors and weapons provide, just click on the pullout tabs in the top right corner here. Once you've decided, let's go ahead and gather some of the Tier 2 materials required to craft them. The resources we need will be conveniently placed near the smelter, weaver, tanner, or lumber mill. Go ahead and refine your gathered materials to metal bars, cloth, leather, or planks. Then you can craft your fancy new Tier 2 set of equipment. Don't forget to choose abilities for each new weapon and armor. And don't be afraid to mix and match armor and weapons that come from different lodges. We have the freedom to tailor our classes to our own unique playstyle. If we aren't sure which weapons or armor skills feel like the right fit, try them all. Experiment and tweak your abilities until you've really created a character you're proud of, and enjoy playing. It'll make your adventures in Albion all the more rewarding. Good luck!